Hi there, folks. Chris McLean, Peak Performance and Transformation Coach, back again with yet another episode of the Peak Performance and Predictable Growth Show, the peak performance show for creative agency founders, owners, and leaders, where we explore the agency journey from unique perspectives of those that are at the coalface of this industry. And my guests help unlock and dissect strategies, tools, and tactics from the trenches that are working right now to help you deliver better results for your clients and grow and scale your agency to 6 and 7 figures and beyond. And today it is my honor to welcome on the show Mr. Luca Senatore. He is 7-figure agency CEO, mentor for coaches and agencies, and philanthropist. Luca founded and grew Genie Goals from 0 to 7 figures, and the agency was later recognized as a top 3% Google Premier Partner Agency. He's also an author of the game-changing book, The Agency, Build, Grow, Repeat. And today his mission is to help others build ethical businesses that can support them, their families, and contribute to making the world better through the Grow Your Income, Grow Your Impact movement. Luca, got to say that's an impressive role to have at the front of the show. It's a pleasure to have you here, and welcome to the show.
Chris, hi, what an intro. Thank you so much. Really stoked to be on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. So the intro writes itself. I just had to pull it together from your amazing history. Where to start? Let's start at the start. This show is here to sort of help agency owners grow their businesses, start their businesses, sort of move forward from wherever they are in the agency journey. So let's start with your journey. Let's start with Genie Goals. What happened there? How did you start? How did you build it up to a 3% Google partner? Sounds like an amazing story.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was fun. I got here to the UK. I'm originally from Italy. When I was 25, and I couldn't really speak any English whatsoever. So the first few years in the UK were really about surviving and understanding how to communicate at the most basic level. And, fast forwarding with a lot of hard work and determination and stubbornness, I started my passion again, which was marketing and building businesses. And I had an agency and another large business. And one day I was talking to a friend of mine who called me up and he said, "Luca, we have this great idea. We want to start an agency. What would you do? Can you give us a hand?" And I was already running a good double agency, meaning that we were doing marketing and creatives. And so I gave him my 2 cents. At that time, this person called Kieran, they had another business, which was basically an affiliate marketing business. And that kept me very busy. And within a couple of years from that conversation, the agency was still where it was, but the other business grew nicely. So we met again, and it was one of my best friends. It's still one of my best friends. So we decided, I'm going to sell my 2 businesses and jump on board and try and grow this agency together. And so we did, and we took the market in the UK a little bit different, from a different angle. All the agencies came from the same retainer type of model, and we came in a little bit boisterous and bold with our performance-focused model, where we will work with clients and pretty much only get paid if we got results. We will work on a CPA model, meaning that we would agree a cost per acquisition with retail brands, and we would only get paid the exceeding profits over what we agreed, which was very bold, and many thought we were going to go out of business within 6 months. And I think we got pretty close. But we carried on. We still have an incredible team. We're very technical as an agency, and we found that as we were auditing accounts back, it's much better now, and it's been better for some years. But back then, really, we were focusing on PPC, pay-per-click, right? Google Ads. And back then, really 90% of the accounts that we would audit were really in terrible shape.
Right.
So lots of quick wins. And so that was one difference. And the second difference is that we approach it with a mindset type approach. I grew up listening to Tony Robbins, and I studied NLP and coaching and life coaching, exactly. So it was my thing. So we started speaking on stages, and we would include things like mindset and habits and stuff like that. And in the UK, the creative and marketing agency industry, was very traditional, and it was very much about football and tech, right? And so you have this kid on stage, with a very strong Italian accent, talking about positive mindset and all that crap. And you will see, I love, by the way, so crap for them. You will see half of the room thinking, oh my goodness, what is this guy on? Why did they let him in? And half of the room would go, oh my God, we love these people, right? And so what we did, we understood that being bold and being very strong with your message, being polarizing, worked very well for us. So we kept doing that. And then, if you work hard enough and you stay within a good trajectory, eventually results will come, right? Overnight success is nothing else than the manifestation of repeated hard work. And then eventually we did, we landed a couple of good clients. And then the milestone, the main milestone was when we landed Calvin Klein. And although we landed a good contract, and I can tell you that now because it was many years ago, back then, if they said work for us for free, I would have, because their logo on our side just acted as a massive magnet for an incredible amount of good brands. And so that was really the pivotal moment, right? And that's it. And then from there, we just grew, steadily, and we got now to, in dollars, probably about, I don't know, $3 million in revenue. And only because for the last 2 years, so 2019, we focused a lot on establishing the good foundation for growth. So we slowed down the growth to make sure that the people team was in place, that the processes were in place. And last year, I think we slowed down because the world did.
Yeah. I think everyone a lot of people took a step back to breathe last year, but also a lot of people just kind of pushed on and carried on. I imagine that you're in the second category where you saw what was happening with the world, but you pushed on anyway. What was last year like for you?
Yeah, last year was mad. Obviously we feel an incredible amount of sympathy for those that really suffered. We didn't. We're so blessed, health-wise and so on. So we got nothing to complain about. Business-wise, we were doing 20% growth, 25, 30. And then last year we actually closed at 8% up, which is incredible considering. But secretly, we work with retail brands. That is our niche. Retail took a massive hit. So we took the stance of doing three things: looking after the health of everybody. So we adopted the working from home policy incredibly early. We moved 30 people from the office to home, within a week. And we were not used to, one of the biggest assets for us is the atmosphere, is the office, so it was a big thing. The second thing that we did, we supported our clients financially. So we reached out to our clients and said, we're here if you need us, more resource, less money, let's get through this together. And the third thing is that we decided to not let go of anybody. So not making it redundancy and so on.
Amazing.
And the theory there was, well, one of our mission, the internal mission, is to build the best place for people to come and work. So that kind of aligns with our values. But strategically, there was also the thing that we thought, when this is over, and this will be over at some point, many other people would have let go of so many stuff, and then they would have to rush and recruit with everybody else. So there'll be massive competition. Let's hold on to our best talent, and when this takes over again, when this resolves itself, then we will be in a good position. So that's what we did. So we ended up 8% up, which is fantastic, but also it gave us the opportunity to reinvent the business. So to give you an idea, we are looking now at very different ways of being in an office. We're not going to renew a very long lease on a very big office. We might get a shared office space, and then we also, we've got clients all over the world, all over Europe. So we spend so much time traveling, going to meetings and stuff that now you can do in 5 minutes, right? And so it really made us a better business, but it was hard at the beginning.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you've seen that, you've found the opportunity inside the chaos. A lot of businesses see the chaos and it's too much and they fold. But I love that you've identified how to win in that environment, actually come out stronger from that situation. Something I'd love to get your perspective on is around office culture. This is something I've been thinking about a bit myself. Off the back of last year, as you say, a lot of work from home, there's a fragmentation in the workforce. Agency culture is so heavily predicated and built on creativity and masterminding and brainstorming and having that creative energy between people, plus the cultural aspect of seeing your mates and hanging out and connecting human to human. How are you seeing that playing out, and how have you managed that and maintained culture?
It's a great question, Chris, and certainly a difficult one to answer. Firstly, for all those listening, I like to say that we really, for a long time, and actually even now, we don't really know what we're doing. And I want to put that out there, because I think sometimes we work a lot with agencies and they look up to you and they say, "Oh, you're so big, I can't relate. I can't do what you're doing." It's absolutely not true. There's so many things. The size of the problems change so much that we're always in this test and learn mode. So with everything, whether it's COVID growth, we're always testing and making it up as we go. We always have that white belt mentality, because I feel it's an ever-evolving industry. And when it comes to people, that's even more so. That's something that I personally spend a lot of time on. My personal mission is to create an incredible team with people that are rewarded financially, morally, and supported. So for me, the C-level, the leaders are at the bottom supporting everybody else. And so at Genie, people have always been incredibly important. For a 30 people agency, we have a people team that is probably big enough to support 200 people, right? So we invested heavily in that. We invested a lot in tools that allow us to track the happiness of our employees. We won a couple of awards in the employee space, because we really want to create a place where people are happy. And when you have an office that is like that, right? We do a quarterly party, a quarterly social. We do many weekly social events. When something like this hits, and then you have to work in a decentralized way, and everybody works in office, and we are in Cambridge, right? So Cambridge is a very cosmopolitan city. It's a very student city. Many of our employees may be maybe living in shared accommodations and whatnot. And so it's very hard to maintain that spirit. It's very hard to maintain the energy. So what we did is a couple of things. We started to slowly suppress emails, because emails are a very siloed channel of communication. You press a button, then you close it, and there's a massive dark gap. Whereas Slack allows us to be more in it. It allows different channels to be more like rooms when people can pop in and out. We massively amped up shorten the daily meetings. So not to have, I actually hate meetings, because I think most meetings are useless, but meetings to keep the morale and the spirit of employees up, they're very important. So what we do is daily catch-ups. And if you imagine, I do a daily catch-up with my direct team, which is the leadership team, about 4 or 5 people. And they do a daily catch-up with their own team, and then their team do the daily catch-ups with their team. So everybody's got like 1 or 2 15-minute catch-ups a day. It's not very long, but it keeps the energy super positive, and it keeps everybody really, really together. We do a lot of virtual events, right? And yes, they feel weird. Yes, they're not the same, but it's better than not doing them, right? Mm. And then just check in on each other. We've got something on Slack that I think it's called the donut something. It basically randomizes one-to-ones. So you might meet somebody you've not talked to. So small things like that really go a long way, right? We had a couple of wings, so we just bought champagne for everybody and sent it to everybody, and then we did a big Zoom meeting when we go. Small things like that we did, and we made them up. Some of them didn't work, some of them worked. And but for now, I mean, our staff happiness, if you look at, we track our staff happiness with a tool called Office Vibe. And actually our staff happiness is increased.
Wow. Well, yeah. That's something given the circumstance, but I love how you've leveraged technology to to fit in and splice that cultural aspect back in. It's really, really cool stuff. You definitely come at this from personal development. I won't quite go to maybe not say spiritual, but you come from it from a very different perspective than a lot of agency owners. You talked about Tony Robbins, NLP, jumping up on stage. How obviously that's impacted who you are and how you operate. Maybe talk to me a bit about that. Like, how do you see that impacting your agency and how you run and your value system and your beliefs and how you integrate that into the values of your agency and how you look after staff and all of that?
Yeah, another great question. I think much like founders, when you found a company, you want to find somebody that is the opposite of you, right? If you are strong in one area, you want somebody that's strong in another. So Genie Goals isn't like that. Genie Goals isn't a personal development type agency.
Right.
They're incredibly technical. In fact, the one thing that we need to work on is to be a little bit more soft skilled. Terrible term, but yeah, soft skill, because they're very, very technical. I mean, everybody's so incredibly technical. And so even at the beginning, when I walked in and, we had a CTO and so on, it took me some time to win some of these people over that we were hiring, because they were very technical, and I'm like that. And I believe it's a balancing act. You need both. You can't just go in with mindset, and you also need the technical aspect of it. But I remember one particular meeting with Calvin Klein, where I used to go to all the quarterly business reviews, all the QBRs. And the first time that I didn't go, and by the way, whenever I went, I did this. I understand the technicalities. I can open up a Google Ads account and a Facebook account and operate it. I like to understand it because I'm a bit of a geek, but I'm more of a personal development guy than I'm a technical guy. And in these meetings, I would end up just sharing the vision, sharing the struggles, sharing the values. I would not really get into technical talk. The team would, and that is what the real value of that account was. And I remember when I started not going anymore, the head of e-commerce at Calvin Klein said, "Oh, could you come every now and again? Because we do miss that energy. We do miss that." So sometimes it felt awkward for me to go and lean with what comes very naturally to me, which is motivation, which is never giving up, that's how I won. I grew up with nothing. My father left when I was 5. We had 60. I came to this country with 65 British pounds in my pocket. I had to pay 95 pounds the first week in rent. My mom and I had to scavenge for cents when I was little, because we didn't have any money. So I grew up with nothing. And for me, what really moved me is this mindset, this resilience, this refusal to quit. And so I know that it was important, but it did feel awkward in an industry that was very technical. And what I did do very well, credit to me for once, I carried on, even if it felt awkward. And what happened is that at the beginning, it feels awkward. And then you are recognized and appreciated for that, for whatever feels awkward to you. Then if you keep doing it, I think people love you for it. And that's exactly what happened, and how we got our reputation of the agency that has got a little bit of that, right? Personal development. And so we achieved that perfect balance when we are a technical agency, but also inspirational. So I think that's how Genie Goals is at the moment. They've got a good dose of what I bring when it comes to that, but they have their massively technical nature, which makes them the best. I mean, hands down, I feel we have one of the best talents in the UK when it comes to our stuff, And ultimately, you can't achieve success in digital marketing only with positive thinking, right? You need both.
Yeah, absolutely. You need that blend. But I love that you've brought that in, and I think that's a really great point. Again, that whether you're building an agency or a personal brand, you need to just be who you are. You need to lean into who you are and show up as your authentic self. When you try to fake it, it feels weird for you, and I think that weirdness resonates with the other people in the room.
Yeah.
If you feel off about yourself, they're going to feel off energetically, even if they're not very aware of it. So I love that you stuck to your guns, that you just you showed up as who you were, and that became your signature. And I think that.
Sorry for interjecting.
No, go.
If you fake, there's 2 possible options. It doesn't work, or there's an even worse option, which is it does. And then you have to fake forever, right? And
exactly. That's you now.
That's how people hate their business, because they wake up every day, I'm going to have to put up this act and work with people I don't like and do, my goodness. No.
Yeah. I don't know about from your perspective, but I think that can happen quite a lot in this agency space, in the creative world, where you have a lot of, you just mentioned the word soft skills. You have maybe softer, creative, inspirational types that are then you're a solopreneur, you're freelance, and you switch into agency, and now you have to do sales and you have to do the accounts and you've got to do the finance and you've got to do all this other stuff that's not you. You either end up, as you said, sort of faking it and becoming that hustle and grind person just to get that done. And that feels really icky because that's not you, but that's you for everyone now. So you have to be that character.
Yeah.
Or, as you said, you get to a point where you and the business start to diverge. Right? The business values go this way and your values sort of were in line, but your values are over here now. And you end up at this point where there's a fracture between you and the business. So I don't know if you see that at all in the agencies that you work with.
Yes, 100%. I think the values, the key behaviors, the company DNA spreads from the top, right? And I think the more we are trying to create a very flat structure where people have different roles. Yes, I might be called the CEO, and that's my realm of responsibilities, and somebody else has got another role. And ultimately, if it comes down to it, I will be the one making decisions. But I think a good business is identified by the lack of need for one person to make the decision. I think when one person needs to make the decision, something has gone wrong somewhere. Where people make decisions together, that's a machine that works. So we work a lot with things like called OKRs, for example, objectives and key results, where by default the goal setting is done at the group level. And the way we do things, we first discuss at the leadership level, right? The broad options. And we do that because we cannot expect people that are perhaps new in the industry or newer, maybe a couple of years in, to have that type of problem. So we try to filter, right, the big issues, the obvious stuff. And then we bring it to the team and together we make a decision. And I think that's how you create motivation in an organization. It's not money, especially in agency space where there's always an agency that offers a bit more. And you actually have opportunistic people that will jump from an agency to another just to get at the same level of expertise, more salary. Right? So money doesn't keep people. So what keeps people is a sense of purpose. So having a clear why as a business, so everybody knows why we're doing what we're doing. And it isn't the money, it isn't the fame, it isn't any of that, because that's futile stuff, The second thing is autonomy. So it's allowing people to make decisions. You go and make the decision, whatever you think is right. And if you get it wrong, good, you learn it, right? So creating the boundaries where a mistake doesn't get a business into bankrupt, obviously. But by the same token, people need to be able to make mistakes because otherwise they feel like robots. They feel like they never have any responsibility that is worthy their energy, right? They just say, okay, what do I do, boss? And that's a horrible environment. And I think the third is a sense of mastery. They need to be able to access the skills. So we invest a lot in people. And I've had many people in the agency space saying to me, look, but what if I invest all these people in all this money in training with people and then they leave? Because in the agency space, people leave. And to that question, I always say, well, what if you don't and they stay, right? And that is really, for me, the pinnacle of it, because if you invest in people, they'll be happier. And, we have people that leave. Of course we do. And when they leave and they go to do better things because of the training we're giving them, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. The frustrating bit is when you get somebody totally new and you teach them what digital marketing means and how you spell it. And then once you know it, they go on somewhere else. And that is frustrating, but it happens little. We had people going off to made.com. We have people going off to Google. Listen, I feel blessed that we can be part of that journey. So for me, it's really invest in people, have them make decisions, make sure that they understand why we are in business, why we're doing what we're doing. And then that comes from the top. If you need to show and not tell, basically. I believe that is my belief, and I may be wrong.
No, I love that you're investing in people, and they say, I guess it's like investing in yourself. It's the best investment you can make, and even if you lose a few people or people kind of transition on, exactly what you're saying. That you've built that person up, you've contributed to a life, you've helped someone, you've lifted them up. So even if they leave, they're leaving better because of the environment that you've created, some skill set that they've created. I think that's a really nice way to think about building an agency. You're building people, and it's that maintaining that humanness inside business. And I say autonomy, shared goals, all these kind of stuff are massive in terms of group flow triggers as well. So in terms of creativity, that sort of stuff just really boosts output and inspiration and drive and motivation and passion and all that really good stuff that you want your team to be doing quite naturally. So it's amazing to hear that that's baked into the DNA of how you operate.
And for those out there thinking, but you've got a 30 people agency, it's the same with a one person agency. I've been coaching for 12, 14 years actually now, right? And but recently, in March, actually, we started planning a new business, which was a coaching program, which is a mentoring program. Mm-hmm. And although I've been coaching for many years, we decided to do something totally new because we wanted it to have a philanthropic sense and zero brand equity, because whilst I was coaching one-to-one, my baby's been in the agency for 6 years. So we built this business from scratch, and I've done it part-time because I was, running the agency. I've got a gym as well, and I've got a family. So I want to just put this out there because some people may be at the agency, maybe at the stage where they're building their agency, and maybe there's one or two people. It's the same thing, right? Start with the end in mind. I would say when we built the coaching business, we went to almost $500,000 in 7 months. And we done that because we started with the end in mind. The first money we made, we invested in people, right? And I think what happens now, as I'm busy talking to you guys, as I'm busy doing agency work, as I'm busy playing with my kids, the team is pushing the shit forward. They're pushing the business forward as if it's their business. And with that, they'll make mistakes, of course, because they might make decisions that perhaps, without seeing the whole picture. But that's part of the journey, because that experience that they go through, making that mistake, will be so important and so significant that they will learn a lot more. The secret is to create the boundaries where the mistake is not, a bankruptcy.
It's not catastrophic.
Exactly. Building that boundary. So if they make a mistake, yes, we lost 500 quid, a grand or whatever, but it's okay. It's worth it. I think that's the secret. Even when there's one of you, create these conditions for, okay, what happens when there's not just me, right? Create those conditions, and that will allow you to grow so much more quickly.
Yeah. And again, I love that idea of building in failing a lot and failing small is really important, because you get used to failing and learning and failing and learning, and you get used to that sort of bouncing back and being resilient. Whereas if you don't experience that regularly, it becomes kind of acute, right? You have a big failure and it's catastrophic because you haven't learned how to tolerate that. You don't have any sort of capacity for dealing with that. So it's like in any type of growth.
I'm sorry. I said let's romanticize, the idea of failing. It's romanticized. Nobody likes failing, right? But if you start a business and you expect not to fail, that's called delusion, right? Because
exactly.
But if you look at it logically, this is not trying to be positive thinking, but logically, when you build a business, you do stuff that you don't know how to do, right? It's new stuff. And when you do new stuff, you fail. Anything. If you try to write when you don't know how to write, you fail. Or if you hit the ball with even if you're a good tennis player and you hit the ball with a table tennis, with a ping pong, it's new stuff. And when you do new stuff, you fail. So it's just totally normal. If you're not failing, you're not doing new stuff. And if you don't want to grow, and if you arrive, and if you got other priorities, that's totally fine, 100%. But if you're trying to grow and you're not failing, that's probably an alarm bell, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't want to set out to fail, but you need to expect it. It's going to happen. If you're not failing, you're doing something wrong. If you're able to build an agency and never fail, I'd love to hear that story. If anyone out there has that story where they've built something significant without failing at least one time, I would love to have you on and hear that story, because I think you're a unicorn.
Yeah, me too.
Amazing. So already you're doing amazing things. What's in store for 2021 and beyond? Is sort of the mentoring program where you're putting most of your energy, or what's in store for you this year?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So for Genie Goals, we have got all in England we say the ducks in a row, right? So
Yeah.
we've got our processes in place, our KPIs are set. We've got a very strong year ahead of us. We've got a strong team. I believe, excuse me, I believe in business you have four main departments, right? We've got operations, delivery, sales, and marketing, and all these four departments are in a good place now. Just putting the foot off the gas on the gas now and accelerate, hoping nothing crazy happens. So there's more of the same on the agency. We've done a lot of disruptive work. We created a training program to try and approach people that do what we do in-house and maybe offer consultancy that way, and that is out. We have created an internal clients team that will allow us to bring in quite a bit of clients without really stretching. So everything is in place. We just need to push. And my sole role at the agency is to serve my team and my clients. I don't really deal with clients unless there is an emergency. And with the team, I just need to make sure that they've got everything they need to do their job. With the mentoring program, we have OKRs newly set. We want to help 100 people hit 6 figures, 100 people in the agency and coaching space. We want to help 25 people hit 7 figures this year. We want to bring clean water for life to 100 people in Africa. We want to help 100 girls in third world countries to access education because they don't. And we want to help in the winter months, especially the organizations, particularly the Trust or Trust here in England, that brings food to families in financial difficulties during wintertime. So that is our goal for 2021, the mentoring program. We've got a great team in the mentoring program. We've got 5 coaches. So we kind of set, and again, everything is the foundations are there. So we just need to push and do more of what we're doing. I think the goals are ambitious, but are also under control. We've done the goal setting part early now. At the agency for many years, we've done the yearly goals in Q2, right? Because something else always came in, right? So now we are in a good place.
Amazing. Sounds like it's going to be another impressive year for you.
We'll see.
Thank you so much.
We can do is to try, right?
Yeah, exactly. And sounds like that's been that's worked out for you so far. So I'm sure it's going to continue to. Massively appreciate you dropping by. It's been a really good deep dive into some different aspects of building agencies, and I love the mindset stuff and the how you're looking after people. If people want to connect with you, we've got some stuff up on the screen. Where's the best place for people to come and find you, work with you, hire you, connect with you?
Yeah, I think my team and I spend a lot of time on Facebook. A lot of our clients hang out there. LinkedIn, like I said, the lucasenatore.com it's kind of a hub from which you should be able to go to different places. If I may disrupt the flow of the show, Chris, I just learned the lesson the other day, and I want to share it with everybody because I'm pretty confident everybody will go through it. So in the SAM mentoring program, we deliver it with daily life coaching, right? But we also have a learning portal with about, 60 videos and manuals and so on. And recently we set out to redo the whole thing from A to Z because we rebranded and so on. And so there was about, however many hours of video to record. And so I set out for the last 2 weeks to get up, very early. I always get up early, but for 3 hours in the morning before the world starts, just record. And we were almost at deadline where basically technology went wrong and 3.5 hours of recording got lost. The day after, I got to it, and about 4 hours went by before we could solve the problem. And that is like a day from deadline, right? And at one point, everything seemed to be working. So I go, okay, fine, let's do this. So I sit down and I start recording. And then as soon as I start, the handyman pitches up. So I had to spend an hour with the handyman. And then when he leaves, I sit down. Okay, that's fine. It's late, but I'm going to do an all-nighter if it takes. And then the kids, late evening, started playing in the garden. It was the first day of spring, or they felt with me. So I really got to a point where I wanted to take the computer and just crush it and say, that's it, I'm done. We're not going to do this 3D version, right? And then at one point, more for luck, I'm reading a book about Stoicism. I always read Stoicism, but this book is anyways, it's obviously resonating. And something clicked, and then I walked inside the house, and I said to my wife, "You know what? I'm actually glad this happened." And she was like, "Wow, you were so tense." And I was like, "Yes, I'm glad, because you know what? It will happen to everybody. But I know for a fact that most people will quit if this happens." So I wanted to share this with you guys, because I realized in a moment that, for me at least, it isn't really about the skills. It isn't about the talent. It isn't about the resources. It's not about the environment. It's really about creating an environment where you know you're more or less on the right trajectory, so you don't stray too far off, and then really just never quitting. And for me, 44, having built 8 businesses, there was an important revelation, because what I believe allowed us to do good work is that we just never really accepted that we would stop. And so expect hardship, I would say. Really embrace it in a way, and know that for every piece of hardship that brings you close to quitting, many people will quit. And that is how you will win, I think, because many people will quit when you don't.
Yeah. Love it. I have nothing further to add. That's an amazing what an amazing story to end on. I think that's a massive business lesson, but that's just good life lesson right there. Never quit, never give up. You never know how close you are to success. If you quit, a millisecond before you might have found success, just keep pushing, keep going. Love it. Thanks for dropping that in. It didn't affect the flow of the show at all. It was an amazing way to end. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you're a very, very busy man. You got lots on. Really appreciate you dropping by the show and dropping the value that you did. There's a lot of information, a lot of value for agencies to pick up, and I hope a lot of that resonates with people out there. So I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate being on the show. You've got an incredible show, a fantastic host, and it was just an honor to be on. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And with that said, thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed our time here with Luca as much as I did. And we will see you sometime in the future on the next episode. Luca, thanks for your time. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you on the next one.